In this part of the lecture, we will talk about the disposal of municipal solid waste. So, as you know that the waste which is not treated, not recycled, and is not composted, etc., that often ends up in the dumping yards. That is the one of the biggest challenge and the biggest problem of management of MSW in India. So basically, most of our waste in India is open dump. So what is the meaning of open dump? We basically collect the waste from the city, and in some part of the city or outside the city, you just dump it. And that is not scientific. I don't want to tell you that you already are aware that can cause all kinds of air pollution, water pollution, nuisance, odor problem, and may possibly even would lead to the spreading of diseases, etc., in a city domain. So therefore, that's not acceptable, but that's what is the at many places is the current practice. And another disposal is the putting the waste into sea. So it's also not advisable for obviously then you don't want to pollute the sea and disturb the aquatic life. Then the third disposal method is the landfilling, which is essentially disposal of residual solid waste in the surface soils of the earth. So what happens is, imagine you have a system, you have a the waste management system where some part is recycled, some part is reused. Maybe then after that you have biological system where you are producing compost, etc. Even despite that, some of part of the waste may be still need to be finally disposed of, and that for that some component you actually need a landfill. But imagine you're not doing much recycling, you're not doing composting, etc., for several reasons because the waste is not segregated. So therefore, you many time has to landfill the waste or dispose the waste, but you cannot do the open dumping, you cannot do the put it into sea, etc. Therefore, you adopt for landfilling. So what is landfilling and why landfilling is very clear, because you understand that open dumping causes all kinds of problem, all kinds of emission, etc. So when you say landfilling, in fact, it's a scientific method of disposing waste into the land. And as it's mentioned here, it's a controlled disposal. That means you're not simply just dumping it, but you have a control system which controls the exposure of the environment and humans to the detrimental effects of solid waste placed on the land. And it is done in a manner that there is least contact with human with the or with the other parts of the ecosystem. That means there is no contact between the waste and the air environment, water environment, and human and uh, other species of the ecosystems. Okay, so let's see what it is. So basically, think of an open dump. What happens in an open dump? You put a waste into an open dump. It uh, leads to the percolation of water into that, maybe the rainwater, and it leaches out, and that may be polluting your groundwater or other nearby water bodies. So that is one problem. Then there may be the emissions coming to the atmosphere in an open dump. Maybe go. That means it's causing air pollution. That means there are gases going to the atmosphere. And then to control that, you have a liner system, which is the bottom of the your landfill, which is to avoid any kind of groundwater or any kind of leaching, which is going to the water bodies. And then you have a cap system. That means you close it on the top so that these gases are, which otherwise could be, some of them could be um, toxic and some of them could be harmful to human. and other ecosystems. So that will be captured or that will be capped. And once you cap those gases, please remember that once you close the landfill or you have a landfill in which you put a cap, the gases has to be collected out of it because you cannot store the gases inside the landfill. So therefore you need gas collection and treatment and flaring system. And also the leachate, which probably is because of the waste or because of the percolation of water into the landfill, that wastewater, which contains several of the leached materials from your MSW, that need to be collected and treated. And also to ensure that the water quality in and around, that means the groundwater is not affected, and also the air quality in and around is good, or is not influenced or affected by your landfill. They have to monitor the water as well as air quality. So therefore, what are the different components of a, a land sanitary landfill, which is a scientific method of land disposal of municipal solid waste? You have a liner system, you have a cap system, you have a gas management system, you have a leachate collection or leachate management system consisting of collection and treatment. Then you have the monitoring system. So this is a typical schematic of a landfill. So you can see there, you can see here, for example, this is a liner system. This is the most bottom part of the landfill. And after that, you can see here this pipe. This is a leachate collection system. And then you fill the waste and you cap it. So you can see the cap system on the top. And then you have this gas extraction well, because as I mentioned, if there is some gas generated in the landfill, you cannot hold it. So you have to release it and collect it and then maybe treat it, or if you have or you can utilize it as a source of energy, because if there is a municipal solid waste, biodegradable municipal solid waste, it can produce biogas which can be utilized further. And there are uh, gas monitoring systems and gas management system and groundwater monitoring well upstream as well as downstream to ensure that or to know that whether the this landfill is contaminating groundwater or not. So this is how it looks like. This is the liner. This is a typical landfill operation. You are trying to fill the waste here. This is a beautiful liner would look like. You would put leachate collection system on the top of it, and then you will fill the waste. This is another picture. So I talked about leachate collection system. So you will see there are several perforated pipes which you will put into your landfill, generally on the bottom of it, just on the top of your liner, and they are perforated. So that means the leachate will be collected in those pipes, and from a main connection pipe, you will be extracting it and you will be pumping it out of your landfill. So this is the simplest way of presenting or talking about this leachate collection system. However, this many times is very comprehensive. You have to cover it with some kind of a um, perforated liner system so that only the leachate or the water goes into those perforated pipes. Then you have to pump it out. You need a pumping station also, and you have to design it. There could be different configurations of these leachate collection pipes. This is beyond the scope of this course. This is how it looks like. You're dumping waste on this landfill, some landfill waste management system. Yeah, another thing you have to also know that, for example, when you do a landfill operation, you are not fully filling the whole landfill in a single go. So what you do is you fill your waste in terms of cells. So for example, if you say that you have a big landfill, which probably can take the waste for, let's say, at least for 30 years, you start to fill in one part of it. Maybe you put a cell, and you put one day's waste and then another day's waste and so on and so forth. And then you first fill it to maybe up to one lift. And then maybe once the one lift is there, you have to you can do the second lift and the third lift. So it will depend. One lift could be up to 5 feet or 6 feet or even more than that. It will depend how you have designed it. And there is a everyday daily earth cover required, because it's once you put the waste, even you compact it, after that you need to cover it with some kind of soil so that there is no fall or flue gases or fall gases going and contaminating the nearby area, or maybe some kind of birds and animals can also intrude into your system. And especially in rainy season, you have to cover it with by temporary covering, because otherwise it will already will be filled before you even use it, will be filled with water. So basically, the point is that you fill it in the cells. There are daily cells. There are then months basis cells. You have one lift and then two lift and so on so far. Okay. Then, as I mentioned, you need to collect the landfill gas. So there is different ways, but this one is a vertical piping system for landfill gas collection system. You see there are different, you can call them bells, but with some kind of specific perforation and connected to a blower. And from their blower, these gases can be treated or flared, or maybe they can be used as a source of energy, because it would produce biogas, because there can be an organization of MSW in these landfills. So this collection system is required, and there can be n number of ways you can design it. The This is how the leachate coming out of a landfill looks like. You can see it's really a very highly contaminated wastewater. This is a real picture of a leachate well, which is taken on the site. So once this leachate is collected, you have to treat it comprehensively. And what is the meaning of treatment? Basically, it's a high concentration and highly contaminated wastewater. So you have to put a proper treatment plant. I'm sure you must have understood about the wastewater treatment plant in the other parts of this course. So you have to put this kind of system. This is an sequence batch reactor, or SVR kind of wastewater treatment plant for leachate treatment uh, in a sanitary landfill near to Mumbai. So what we do, we collect the waste. We have a bottom liner. We put the waste. We have a leachate and gas collection system. We cover it. We have a cap system on that. We After that, once the landfill is filled, we have to take the post closure. What is the post closure care? You have to ensure that there is no leakage, there is no leachate going to the your surface or groundwater. Your flue gases or the gases from landfills are properly collected. So you have to monitor it for a few years, typically in you can say 30 to 50 years, until unless it's totally stabilized. In India, at least you have to maintain it for 15 years. After that, these landfills can be restored or created to recreational parks, gardens, or can be used further for some other applications. So this is all I have to tell you about the disposal, the land disposal or sanitary landfilling. Now, I just want to summarize what the how the whole waste treatment and the how the waste disposal is done. So imagine that you are bringing waste, which may be in some cases maybe a mixed waste, commingled waste. So you can have a mechanical sorting system where we talked about several sorting mechanisms, sorting physical methods. So you can separate it into recyclable. There would be some rejects which cannot be recycled, etc., and we do not find a good application for them. So they will be going to landfills. And then the other component, which is biodegradable, it can go to biological degradation, maybe anaerobic, maybe composting. And if it's anaerobic digestion or degradation, then it will produce biogas, which can be used as source of energy. It will produce liquid, which can be used as a soil conditioner or as a kind of a fertilizer or replacement of fertilizer. And the solid component again can be used as a compost or can be also used as a refuse dry fuel if it has a if the moisture content is low, and if it can be used as a refuse dry fuel for and be used sold to any cement industry or any other industries which are interested in that. So this is how a mechanical biological treatment system looks like. You take waste, you have sorting cabins, maybe manual and maybe some machines, trommel screens, and then magnetic separator, etc. You take recyclables, you sell them in the market. You have biological processing. You further process or refine it, produce energy, produce compost, and the remaining residue will be going to the landfill. In your treatment options, you do not have a single treatment line, but there could be n number of options: decentralized, centralized, having combination of recycling recovery facilities, MRF, biological treatment systems, incineration, then the sanitary landfills. It varies on case to case basis, and you will find that there are several ways of treating it, but fundamentally either one, two, or many of these process in combination are used for treating or transforming your waste, and the whatever minimum residue is, it need to be sanitary landfill in a scientific manner. And the more we segregate our waste, in at least in wet and dry, so our overall treatment will become cheaper, efficient, and therefore there will be very minimal waste going to the landfill, and we can have maximum recovery. So with this, I would like to stop here, and this is all I have to tell you about the the treatment options about the landfills.